I love IndyCar. Hello, I'm Alex Pillow.
Hello, I'm Alex Pillow.
Welcome to episode 2 of A Formula One Fan's Guide to IndyCar 2026. I'm Jess, an F1 and IndyCar content creator, and in this video, we'll be breaking down the structure of the greater IndyCar race weekend. Or, in the case of the Indy 500, the 13 days it takes to get from practice 1 to the actual running. Yeah, 13. If you missed episode 1, where we break down the 2026 grid, go to that, and then get your buck back here. All right, let's dive in. Coming from Formula One, almost everything about IndyCar will seem unnecessarily complicated. Essentially, things change based on the type of circuit. IndyCar races at street circuits, road courses, and ovals. Street circuit and road course weekends are pretty consistent, but things change quite a bit once you get to ovals. Your typical race weekend structure has FP1 on Friday, FP2 in qualifying on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday afternoon. Ovals, as they're obviously a little less complex than a street or road course, only require one practice session. So those weekends are a little bit of a lighter lift, with free practice and qualifying on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday. There are a couple of exceptions, because of course there are. There is the occasional doubleheader. Not a sprint like F1, but 2 full-length races. In this case, you'll likely see free practice, qualifying, and race 1 all happen on Saturday, and then race 2 is all by its little lonesome on Sunday. And I know what you're thinking. 1 qualifying session for 2 races? A perfect segue. Let's get into qualifying. We'll start with street and road courses. Because there are so many of them, the drivers are actually split into 2 groups based on how they finished in their last practice session. Drivers who finish in an even numbered position go in group 1, and drivers who finish in an odd numbered position go in group 2. These 2 sessions are your equivalent to Q1. The fastest 6 drivers from each group advance to the next segment, so 12 drivers total in your equivalent to Q2. And then from there, the fastest 6 drivers advance again to your equivalent to Q3, which is sponsored by Firestone, so this is very poignantly named the Firestone Fast 6. This is where they fight for pole position, you know the drill. Also worth noting, during qualifying, if a driver brings out a red flag, their lap times get deleted and they are not allowed to move on. If a driver brings out a yellow flag, their fastest lap gets deleted, but they are technically allowed to move on if they're able to. Now, oval qualifying, of course, is different. Lap time is technically measured, but what you actually see on your TV screen and what you're really looking for is the speed of the car. There are no qualifying rounds. Each car gets its own dedicated time on track. They get 2 complete warm-up laps and then 2 consecutive green flag or timed laps. The aggregate of those 2 timed laps gets recorded as their qualifying attempt. And then obviously the fastest aggregate gets pole position. The other thing I'll mention about ovals and oval qualifying in particular is that because of the high speeds, we're talking 180 miles an hour during qualifying, is that weather is taken very seriously. You will not see a rainy qualifying session on an oval. That would just be way too dangerous. But even cloud coverage can make oval qualifying super interesting because of the way it can impact like track temperature and a couple other aerodynamic things. So the order in which you qualify can sometimes make or break things for a driver. The order in which they go out is the reverse order of where they sit in the championship upon entering that race. So essentially, if you're leading the championship, you go out for your qualifying run last. Out of the 17 races on the 2026 schedule, there are 11 street and road courses and 6 ovals, including IMS, where the Indianapolis 500 is held. I suppose we should talk about the Indy 500 now, so forget everything I just told you. The Indy 500, she really is her own girl. Dare to be different, love her. Known widely as the greatest spectacle in racing, the whole 13-day ordeal is really all about tradition and ceremony. So I'm just gonna walk you through the 2026 schedule. May 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th have practice sessions. The 15th this year is deemed Fast Friday, as it's the last practice session before qualifying. Not only do they get to run an extra turbo boost on their car, which allows them to go faster, there's actually also a public draw in which the drivers literally pull a number to determine the order they go out for qualifying. I don't make the rules. The 16th and the 17th are for qualifying. Qualifying does take 2 days, yes. The 18th has another practice session, couple days off, and then it's race weekend. Friday is known as Carb Day. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is just one big party. Technically, the final practice session happens this day, but this is the day people break out their craziest outfits. There's a concert, there's a pit stop competition, the Weenie 500, just good vibes going into the weekend. Saturday is known as Legends Day. This is a pretty chill day all around. It's really just the drivers doing some meet and greets. They have the parade in downtown Indy and then just preparing for the race. Then of course, Sunday, race day. IMS opens at 6 a.m. with literal cannons firing. I am so serious when I say that this day is all about tradition and ceremony. There's the trophy march to the bricks, the cars get moved from gasoline alley to the pit lane and then to the starting grid. After the race, you have the milk, the kissing of the bricks, the whole 9 yards. Or I guess I should say the whole 2.5 miles. But how did we get there? Let's back up. The Indy 500 actually allows 33 drivers to race compared to the regular season's 27 contracted drivers. Technically, anyone can attempt to qualify for the Indy 500, but there are obviously a few requirements like a valid INDYCAR Series license, a team has to enter your car, so it's not like you can just show up the day of and have a go at it. Day 1 of qualifying essentially sets positions 13 through 30. You ideally want to be in the top 12 so you get to advance, but you definitely don't want to be slower than 30. Otherwise, you're stuck trying again later in what's called the last chance qualifying, which sets the final 3 positions on the grid. What makes day 1 so interesting is that while every driver is guaranteed 1 qualifying attempt, multiple attempts are allowed. But there is a catch. There are technically 2 lines you can be in to attempt qualifying again. Line 1 allows you to keep your first time, but as you can imagine, that line is pretty long. So if you're at the back of that line, there is a chance that you might not get to go out again before time runs out. Line 2 is even more of a gamble. You are required to abandon your first qualifying attempt in favor of getting to go again. As you can imagine, this line is much shorter, but who's to say that your second qualifying attempt is going to be better than your first? Spicy. Anyway, a qualifying run on day 1 is essentially calculated over 4 consecutive laps. IMS is considered a super speedway. It's 2.5 miles long. Sorry for the math here, but you take the 10-mile total distance divided by the total time for the 4 laps, and you get your average speed per lap in miles per hour. That average speed number is what actually counts for your qualifying attempt. We're usually talking like 233, 234 miles per hour here. So very fast. So end of day 1, positions 13 through 30 are locked in. Day 2, we're looking to set the top 12 positions and the last 3 positions. Similar to qualifying during the season, your first round of 4-lap qualifying sets positions 7 through 12. Your second round of 4 laps, or the Fast 6, sets positions 1 through 6, including obviously pole position. Last chance qualifying is another set of 4 laps to determine the back of the grid. So the final 3 spots, 31, 32, 33. Anyone else fails to qualify. So there you go. 200 laps, very, very fast top speeds. That is the Indy 500. But there is one thing that has not been mentioned yet, and that is points. The point system is kind of elaborate, but I will say the one thing I do like about the point system in IndyCar is that every driver who finishes a race, no matter the position, gets points. I feel like in F1, if you're like 40 laps in P17, sometimes how hard are you really trying to overtake into P16? You know? But in IndyCar, it very much matters whether or not you finish P16 or P17. There's more on the line, the midfield overtakes are worth it makes for good racing. I'm just gonna have this nice little graphic pop up here just to give you a visual. Essentially, the winner of a race gets 50 points and you drop incrementally down to P25. Anyone who finishes after P25 gets 5 points. There are also a few fun little bonus points that are tossed out. You actually get a championship point for securing pole position, leading a lap, and you get 2 points for leading the most laps during a race. Kind of fun, especially because a lot of times you'll see this impact when drivers pit. If that lap leading point means a lot to them, sometimes they'll adjust their pit strategy to go later in order to lead a lap. Some little things like that. The Indy 500 is really the only outlier here. The drivers who qualify in the top 12 also get awarded points just for qualifying in that position. I feel like this just reiterates how important the 500 is, but this is pretty simple. Pole position earns you 12 points, all the way down to P12, which earns 1 point. Okay, we've covered quite a bit in this episode. The structure of a race weekend, types of tracks, qualifying, the Indy 500, points, bus, club, another club. I feel like this is a good stopping point. Let me know if you think there's anything I missed or have questions about, and I will see you in episode 3 where we'll go over the more technical aspects of the car, tire strategy, etc. Okay, bye!